and here we go.
There's the deluge. Here's ignition.
Roger roll with Atlantic. Doubling up.
Did it just do a Kerbal?
Back to the moon and beyond.
Put that in the big bag, Jingle.
Back at home, we all have a lot of work to do, but from here, it sure looks like a perfect flow.
Propulsion continues to be normal.
We did have an observation.
Equalizer.
343 unfolds to go.
It's orange.
Water towers can fly!
Bingo! Right in the center.
Where's Jacqueline? There it is!
That was surreal.
That's not what we want to see.
No.
Oh my god.
Yikes. You bet. Sure. We don't need any more of these.
Well, hello everybody, it's Falcon 9 launch, Starlink 1050, you're stuck with me. You can tell there's not many people around since the celebrations of July the 4th, belated happy July the 4th to all the Americans in chat, obviously. We have a rocket launch of the firework variety, hopefully not the explosions, of course, from Kennedy Space Center. So, in fact, Cape Canaveral, we should say. I always get people saying, isn't KSC and Cape Canaveral the same thing? Well, technically, next door neighbors. This is from Slick 40, as you can see there on your screen. I am joined, thankfully, by Ryan Webber. Hello, Ryan Webber.
Hey, Chris, how's it going? Yeah, I bet everyone is kind of surprised that you're on a Starlink launch, but, you know, here we are. We're hanging out. It's 4:54 in the morning for me. I was awake and was like, yeah, I'll help out. Why not? It's always fun.
Yeah, it's a very healthy 5 minutes to 11 a.m. But my body clock is completely aligned. The American time zones because of the work we do. So this is weird for me. But there we go. We'll get through it. No problem at all because it's a rocket launch. That's what we're here for. Rocket launches. You can't go wrong, can you? But luckily, we have two people out there actually at the rocket launch itself. How jealous am I? Very much so. D-Wise. Hello, D-Wise.
Hello. Yes, it is actually a beautiful morning here. We are seeing the sun start to rise, put some color into the sky. There's some clouds, but it's always a good day when you can look forward to a rocket launch. So it is a good day today.
Indeed, and joined by Jerry. I don't know if Jerry's going to be talking. Hello, Jerry.
Hey, yeah, I'm good to talk here, but yeah, D said it's a nice morning, coming off the evening after 4th of July here, and hopefully one more firework of the, again, not explosive variety, but one last little explosion to end the holiday.
Indeed, and we've also, because I always thank the producer, I never forget to thank the producer. Yes, I do. We've got Sugnor producing this one, so that's cool, isn't it? There we go, because we do need all these people in the background for all these launches, especially with the cadence coming up with not just Falcon 9, but the big rocket, Starship. Which is kind of cool that we got Ryan on, because if you've got any questions about Starship, you can join in with us, no problem at all. Do at NASA Spaceflight, followed by your question. It goes into our chat, because there's a good example there from Flavia straight away asking jellyfish chances. D, is there a chance for a jellyfish from this launch?
You know, if it were launching right now, I'd say there was a very good chance of it. By the time we get to that 6:50 time frame, which is where SpaceX is targeting, I think it's going to be quite a bit too bright. But, you know, it'll still be a beautiful launch here. We've got the morning sunlight coming in, so while it may be too bright for this one, it'll still be a great launch. And I do want to explain the jellyfish for those who were perhaps not familiar. That is when the rocket passes into sunlight, even though the launch site itself is not in sunlight. So the exhaust gases get illuminated in the sky, in the upper atmosphere. And it forms, what honestly looks like a glowing jellyfish in the sky. And so while we aren't expecting that today, we are expecting some wonderful visuals of Falcon 9.
Very cool. And that rocket providing that potential amazing view during launch. Let's talk about that, Ryan, shall we? What rocket's this one, apart from being a Falcon 9? But what particular Falcon 9 is this one?
This one, we've got so it's Starlink 10-50. This booster is 1090-13. So it's actually one of the. It's still got above 10 flights on it. 31-day turnaround or 31-day 20-minute 2-second turnaround if it hits this point right now. So far, this booster has done O3B mPOWER E. It's done Crew 10, Bandwagon 3 launch. Another O3B mPOWER D launch, CRS-33, and then a couple of Starlinks here and there. So it's not like a high flight booster. It's only done 213 sats. Will be 242 at the end of this mission. And of course, it's going to be landing on Shortfall Gravitas, because just reading the instructions, been retired from Falcon 9 service. The fairing recovery ship is Bob, and it's going to be a northeast trajectory parallel to the U.S. East Coast, which is kind of basic for Starlinks these days. Either you're going to the northeast, or you're going to the southeast, basically these days, to try to get into those certain, what I think it's either Group 10 or Group 6. Depending on which one is the inclination change. So that's what we got going for this launch.
Very cool. I could totally answer this question on their behalf because I am a camera expert. But I think because the question is tagged for DYs, I should ask DYs. For a sunrise launch, does your f-stop go down with the ND filter, D?
With the ND filter, no, I don't use ND filters for specifically video of rocket launches almost ever, because generally we're shooting at just a very high shutter speed to have that sharpness when we're tracking at really long focal lengths. But as much as we say during the nighttime launches, like we have so much light from the rocket, you're basically shooting with daytime settings even at night. It's these pre-launch times where we have the sun starting to come up. That's where we have the dramatic changes in light. And ahead of launch, these settings will change quite dramatically. Even if during launch, they will be quite similar.
Yeah, it's exactly what I would have answered, but there we go. Yeah, thanks to some people, by the way. Look at this. This really so like not optimal time for a launch. You're not expecting 20,000 people to be up for this, but we still have support. That's incredible. I always say this on Raptor sides with Ryan that we don't expect support unless it's like a big primetime Starship stream. So it is very much appreciated when DH People, which probably not the way to pronounce the name, but there we go. I'm doing it anyway. Has become a Capcom member. So you've got access to our Discord now, because that member level ship is not just cool content in your name and green in chat. It's also access to our member content on member access, I should say, to our Discord, which is a very cool place that I spend way too much time in. Someone has pointed out that half of my posts in the last several days has been in the World Cup part of the Discord. But there we go. Apparently quite a lot of messages as well. But we have an amazing community in there, not just rockets. It's also off topics of like the World Cup. So I very much appreciate your support. Let me display it on screen so we can show your support to everybody else in the stream as well. Gort from Ort, which is a great username, has become a Red Team member as well. So welcome. You've become a member too during this stream, which is very much appreciated. Jerry, something we were talking about before I came on stream, it's not just your ordinary Starlink launch, is a kind of saying we always go to, but Captain wants to know, what other payloads is there besides the Starlink?
Well, besides the Starlink, there is an additional payload inside what presumably would be the inner stage of the first stage. So unlike, say, the other example, I guess more recently would be like the Starfall on like orbit demonstration, this is a suborbital demonstration. I guess it's the first time I've ever attempted this, but there's a secondary payload of semiconductor test beds on probably the inner stage of the first stage that will go up into, the upper atmosphere, into space for, however, a couple minutes as the first stage reaches its apogee and comes back. So there is a what's the company here? But they Beskar are attempting to do some tests with some fab, manufacturing on orbit on the first stage here today.
Very cool. See, not just your ordinary Starlink. Never is. It's always something going on, and that is cool. Speaking about the future there, Starship, I did say we'll take some Starship questions, especially we've got Ryan on. We've got one from Not Anonymous. That's the username. Ryan, from what we've seen inside Super Heavy Booster 18, the version 3 versions lack the anti-sloshing system found in previous systems. Why is that? Is it related to the issues with Booster 19?
I don't know if the slosh is an issue with the booster because of the changes to the transfer tube and a few other things here and there. The plumbing system was completely redesigned. My guess is it was the ship flipped. When the ship did its ignition sequence, it flipped the booster the wrong way, and then the booster ignition sequence was also out of whack because it got flipped the wrong way. So what I think is the issue is just kind of software changes, which they did. It looks like they did change the ship ignition sequence based off of the static fire, from what I can tell. So it looks like they're already trying to figure it out. I think they'll be fine on the next flight. It was just kind of a fluke hiccup last time where it was like, yeah, we went the wrong way. So it'll be fixed for the next flight.
There we go. Yeah, we're all hoping, because the future is, as we've been talking on many a Raptor side and Starship stream, is that this one goes to plan as far as bringing the booster back to pinpoint splashdown, and then maybe they'll start reconsidering, which it's not even a reconsidering, the actual goal is to bring back a booster to the chopsticks again, which hopefully might be Flight 14. But we'll see how it goes. Let's get Flight 13 out of the way first, and let's see everything being tweaked to the point where the version 3 is doing everything it needs to do. And then we can start looking forward to the amazing, iconic views of a booster returning to the chopsticks, this time on Pad 2 for the first time. So that'll be very cool. D, I've got another camera question for you. Are you ready for this? Why is basically photographer tips? Matthew the Rocket Nerd wants to know, for Slick 40 launches, first time photographer tips.
Ooh, okay. So that will be a bit dependent on where exactly you are. Slick 40 is a bit more difficult of a pad. With 39A, you can get reasonably close to the north side, whether it be Playa Linda, Max Brewer Bridge. With Slick 40, you're probably going to be around 10 to 12 miles somewhere in Titusville or to the south at 528. So plan ahead, figure out what sort of composition, what sort of shots you want to go for. It's hard to say a specific tip for a specific pad without knowing exactly what it is you're going for, but just I would say, like, depending on the focal length of the lenses you have available, just play to the strengths of that. If you don't have the reach to have the close-up shots of the vehicle during flight, don't try to go for that necessarily. Figure out something cool, figure out a cool foreground that you want to have in your images, and play to that, play off the gear you have. Don't necessarily try to get one type of shot if you don't necessarily have the position or whatever for it. Just create a composition in your head and do everything you can to go for it. That's a bit of general advice, sort of. But I don't know. I'd love to know where you're shooting from, what sort of gear you have, and what sort of shots you're looking to get.
Yeah. And we are now under 10 minutes to the point where the propellant starts flowing into Falcon 9, and we all start straining our eyes on the booster and see if we can see any frosty lines, because that would indicate that they are going for loading, which would also indicate they're going for that T0, because once they start, they can't stop and start again. So that's what we're looking forward to in about 8 minutes' time. But one thing that you always take in consideration for launches is the weather. Let's go back to D again. D, what's the weather like?
You know, it is a bit cloudy out here, I have to say. While we do have the spots of sunlight, we have a significant amount of cloud cover. And looking at the 45th Weather Squadron's forecast of the launch, that is their primary concern. That is the cumulus cloud rule, which they give a 15% probability of violating. So even though it might obstruct certain viewing conditions as Falcon 9 gets into flight, it's not that big a concern of actually blocking the launch in any meaningful way. And now they also look at the additional risk criteria, including the booster recovery weather and solar activity. And those aren't factored in to that percent probability of violation, but both of those are low. So we are 85% probability of go for launch, which seems like pretty good odds, I would say. So hopefully these clouds will start to clear a bit as the sun comes out more and more. Maybe they'll burn off some of the layer and we'll have some better visuals. But in terms of launch itself, the weather is looking really good.
Very cool. Now, Ryan, I remember Alex answering this question, and I wish I'd actually sort of like remembered his answer. But there's a question in chat from Tomac who asks, how many Falcon 9s are there? So there's a fleet of Falcon 9s that they're obviously rotating through because that's why they're getting their reflights. Do we know how many, or can you remember what Alex said, as far as how many Falcon 9s that SpaceX have in the fleet?
I can look it up real quick.
Oh,
I don't have it off the top of my head, but I can look it up.
Do you also have spreadsheets like Alex has spreadsheets?
I can also look up Alex's spreadsheet too.
Oh, there we go. Access to Alex's spreadsheets. That must be a joy. Just thousands and thousands of pages. It is kind of interesting though, because they do literally are. It's a fleet. I'm going to bring up shuttle. Hey, but the space shuttle was always like a minimum of 3 for the fleet. The optimal was 4, and have 1 rotate out into California to go undergo services in Palmdale. But that was their kind of like bare minimum. And that's why Endeavour was brought in as spare parts, literally was spare parts, brought in as a fleet, part of the fleet, because they could not really operate after the loss of Challenger with that many orbiters. They needed that minimal amount of orbiters. Did that give you enough time, Ryan?
I'm trying to find it again.
Oh. Tell you what, how about we come back to that one? So you keep looking, because I can answer this next question myself. CLS wants to know, could Hubble be returned to Earth on Starship? The answer is yes, because I asked Elon. There was, I can't remember what the point in time was in relation to why I asked this question, but the question of Hubble returning, it was probably because Hubble was having one of these gyro problems, and I think I put out there saying, Elon, could a Starship be sent up, a Chomper Starship maybe, for example, where it was then placed inside the payload bay of ship, which is size doable, and then brought back to Earth, because the challenges would be the return of Hubble through the flip and burn and things like that. They're finding attachment points and dampeners and what have you. The answer from Elon was, and I quote him, yes. Elon replied saying yes. I don't know if that's ever a plan in the future, but it's certainly not something where he said no. And I think he would have said no if it was simply not possible. So that is possible. The actual mission... Oh, let's go back to the Falcon 9s then with Ryan, yes?
I was going to say, I question how it would handle like the flip and burn and catch, like those sorts of G-forces during re-entry. But I hope that when Hubble does reach its end of life, it can be preserved in some way. That would be a very nice piece of history right there.
Well, I mean, I think the point is that it could be something where they'd easily crowdfund it if it was a private mission. They'd have no problem at all from museums and what have you putting in money, saying, you know, we want to purchase this mission, especially with the projected way that Starship will come down in costs. But you're right, Dee. That was the first thing that came to my mind was like, okay, rendezvousing with it, get it. They can work that out. Bringing it into the payload bay, they can work that out. They'll find a way of doing it. But then returning it without shaking it to death, it's a real issue.
I mean, it can't be as bad as launch, though. I mean, shuttle wasn't exactly
No.
smooth.
Yeah.
Like,
No, the first 2 minutes. I'm sorry, we're going to go down a rabbit hole here. The first 2 minutes of space shuttle launch with the SRBs was shaky. You watch the cam reviews, the onboard cam reviews of launch. You watch the astronauts. They literally have to put their arms folded across their chests, so that when they were then needing to press buttons, if it was mainly for displays because the space shuttle launched itself, they didn't inadvertently catch a button because the shaking was that bad. It was really shaky. And then once the SRBs were released at 2 minutes into launch, everything was smooth as silk. So that was the space shuttle. So you're absolutely right. Hubble and all the payloads had to endure the forces involved during those first 2 minutes with the SRBs involved. Should we go back to the Falcon 9 stuff, right?
it's about 27 boosters they have.
Wow.
It's hard to know how many others they have at Hawthorne. And some are center cores, and whatnot, and some are set aside for either side, or center cores for like the Roman telescope launch coming up, and then of course Griffin coming up as well. So some of them are obviously set aside, but I think it's a fleet of like 27 something boosters. And that's about the fleet they were running when they were doing the every 2.5 days. Because they were able to turn them around in about 26 days was kind of what they were hitting. I think the earlier boosters, like the older ones, were taking a little bit longer because they've, of course, figured out a way to help refurbishment. So I can't wait to see the fleet of super heavies when they build them. That's going to be a lot of boosters.
You know what, Ryan? It's more than I thought it was. That is, I remember Alex Anthony, I remember him mentioning 20s, but I didn't know it was that many. It's quite surprising, but also well done to SpaceX for achieving so many launches with what is a small fleet, if you think about it, in consideration of the amount of launches they do conduct with Falcon 9. Right, I tell you what, though, we are on the clock on the left-hand side. A big clock. People go, how long till launch? There's a big clock ticking down in the top left-hand corner. That gives you a clue. And it is at one of the milestone points, T-minus 35 minutes to launch. And that's when we expect Falcon 9 has already received the go for propellant loading. So let's look at the timeline, shall we, to see what we can look forward to at this busy end of the countdown. This is kind of interesting because we will have to visually look out for the actual proper loading. That is something we do on these launches. We will start seeing a frost line. It'll be for Dee or Jerry to go, oh, like an Alex, to interrupt me and say they can see frost rising, which is where obviously the out of the vehicle is getting very cold because of the very cold, super cool propellants being loaded into the actual booster itself. So that's something we're looking forward to. But there's a timeline. Look there, we've already should have gone past the launch director verifies go for propellant launch. That is now into the point where we start seeing RP1 loading beginning. And Ryan, I'm going to go back to this because the comparisons with Starship is crazy. This Falcon 9 booster does load quite fast, 35 minutes, but in less than 35 minutes, in fact. But the much larger Starship really sort of like puts it to task how fast they can prop load a vehicle, isn't it? Let's do a comparison between prop loading the Falcon 9 and prop loading the Starship.
They're kind of the same in some ways, at least in time. But it doesn't really do it justice when Starship has 10 times the propellant that Falcon 9 does. And I know people always ask why, or could SpaceX speed up Falcon 9's loading? And yeah, in theory they could, but they have no reason to. You also have to remember that there are other reasons why to keep the prop load for Falcon 9 at where it is. One is if they change that, then they have to recertify Falcon 9 for NSSL and crew missions. Like, they cannot fly those until they recertify it, so they have to fly it a couple times, and then NASA would have to recertify the faster load and go, because they already had to certify the first one. Now they'd have to certify even faster one. And I think Jerry's saying there's barely frost. It just started loading.
Jerry didn't do oh like Alex would have done.
But
I can see it on my monitor. It might be coming through on the stream, but on my camera monitor here, it's definitely a little bit visible. But wait for it to get a little bit higher. But I can probably say that we are definitely into prop load and going for this count that we're at now. So go ahead, Ryan.
Nice.
So one of the biggest issues that Falcon 9 faced, and that's part of the reason for the AMO6 explosion, is the interaction between liquid oxygen and the COPVs. If they load it any faster, you could encounter problems with that, and they don't really want to do that. So they just don't try to do it, and they already have it working just fine the way it is, so there's no reason to change it. So yeah, there's just no reason to change it. So they keep it at T minus, keep it at about 35 minutes or so. Well, it's kind of like 33 because they stopped prop loading a little bit before, and Starship's around 32 or so. So Starship's pretty quick as well. And it might get quicker, in fact. Starship could get quicker.
That's bonkers. But then again, they need to, because this is what they're looking forward to in the cadence and turnarounds and hopefully one day point to point. Oh, my beloved. Point to point, my beloved. There we go. It's probably very unfair to give this to Jerry, because it is a question I don't think even I can answer. But because Jerry was mentioning the fact that this is not just your ordinary Starlink, 98 Central wants to know, does SpaceX have to obtain different flight licenses when mixed matching payloads? Or is it if it fits its ship's situation, Jerry?
For licensing, I'm not actually sure, because it's also different in the fact that this isn't even going orbital, right? This is technically a suborbital like hop, if you will, right? Because it's just hitching a ride on the first stage. So I'm not sure if there's any, strictly like FAA or licensing or whatever constraints from that sense, given that it's just kind of strapping an extra. I'm not actually sure what kind of the shape or form of, what this thing looks like, but kind of just sticking something in the vacuum of the interstage there and kind of just tagging along for the ride. I mean, I don't think that would be any extra licensing, as long as there's no extra RF bands or stuff that the FCC would like. I would imagine that there's nothing that's extra telemetry added that's not already licensed through them. But yeah, I would say that it probably, if it fits, it ships.
Yeah, whenever I don't know the answer myself, it's something that it's not something they put on a press release. It's just the way it works. But I always go to my default answer is that SpaceX aren't going to be listening on our stream, going, you know what, guys, we forgot to get the license for this. Oh. Whatever the situation is, they know what they're doing, and they've done it, applied it as appropriate. I do like seeing this frost actually rising on the camera view. It's a really nice view, D. I mean, I always notorious being in the back room going, migraine cam, shaky cam, and being the non-camera person, being very annoying about how we're seeing it because of weather conditions like wind and it's not even heat haze, but I call it heat haze. But this is a really clean view, D, right now.
So this is Jerry's view, actually. So we split up our locations at the press site, but the still air has been wonderful. And if Jerry wants to talk about his setup, Jerry, feel free.
Yeah, I mean, definitely the lack of heat at this moment and lack of wind definitely helps with a lot of that, right? There's no wind to speak of, so there's no migraine cam for Chris here. So it's very perfectly still in the morning air here. But yeah, it's pretty clear looking out there. Unfortunately, there's not too much background going on here. You can actually kind of see a little bit of contrast in the clouds, but it's a pretty thick and consistent cloud layer behind Falcon 9. So no, truly, marvelous sunrise or any sort of background behind this tight shot of the rocket. But yeah, it's pretty clear this morning and it's easy to see.
Very cool. And we're 8 minutes away from the T-minus 20-minute event, which is another big visual indication. I mean, we have everything we need now. We know they're prop loading, but T-minus 20 minutes would be given a little milestone of where they are in the countdown and everything's proceeding well. They are now committed to this T0, for those wondering. And I don't mean they're committed to launch. They're committed to this T0. So it's either going to launch or scrub. One or the other. One or the other, not anything else.
Chris,
Kiwi Nibble. Oh, yes.
You said the word.
He did
Oh,
say
did I?
You
Is
said
that
the
is that a
word.
thing? Well,
That's the thing. We don't say the word,
well, what else can I say? I mean, it's either going to launch or not.
or
I
it
mean,
doesn't. Yeah,
all right,
you
fair enough.
said the big S word.
Oh
We
no.
can't do that.
It's a kind of thing in Starlink launches, Chris. They just don't want to say it.
Oh, oh, fair enough. Well, there we go. If it doesn't
Too
launch, it's
late.
all my fault. Yeah, I'm gonna get an email from SpaceX is going, "Why did you say the S word on a stream? We were going well until you said that."
You'll
As if
certainly
that's
get an
a
email from
thing.
me if it doesn't.
Oh my goodness. Right. Anyway, but luckily we've got some good luck on the stream from Kiwi Nibbles who's gifted a Red Team membership. Hey! If you do get gifted a membership on our stream, by the way, and you see your name suddenly turn up in green, in fact, it will tell you the way that YouTube chat works now. It does say you've been gifted by, or so and so has been gifted by a so and so. Then do say thank you in chat because you got it for a month for free. There's no commitment. You're not signed up to something. You're not thinking, oh no, what happens in a month's time? Do I get auto billed? Well, for one, that's impossible because I need your billing details. And two, no, that's not the case. You get it for a month for free and you drop off at the end of it. It's completely free for a month. Thanks to the generosity of our community. So that's really cool, isn't it? Right. Oh, D, I don't know about this trajectory-wise, but Pixel Squirrel wants to know, will I be able to see the launch from Austria? In brackets, I'm not at the start, I'm not a dummy. So the second stage, will that be passing over Central Europe?
Ooh. When it gets that far into flight, it is a challenge. So you'll be in daylight at the time. So of course this launch is going to the northeast. So, you know, even northern Florida, the Carolinas, I'd expect they might have visibility. But I mean, Austria, you'll be in like full daylight, sun overhead. So I think that would be quite a challenge. You'd be far more likely to be able to see second stage if it were a nighttime or one of those sort of twilight times for you. As far as the trajectory in that sort of mid course, I am not so sure.
Yeah, it's again, it's going to be daytime. I mean, Austria's about I think an hour ahead of us, so it's coming up to 12:30, just after 30 minutes after midday in Austria. So that's not going to help with the daylight. But there's so many of these launches, it's best to keep an eye on these things because you're going to get many opportunities to come either ways. Ultra Slick Bot Random Stuff. That's the username. Ryan, why isn't Falcon Heavy being launched as often?
So not really any payloads for it. It's kind of funny when SpaceX made that. You could have thought there'd be more payloads for it, because there weren't. It was the most powerful rocket back then. It could do even more than Delta IV Heavy. The biggest thing holding back Falcon Heavy has always been its fairing size. There hasn't been really the payloads to launch on it. I think at one point in time, the Space Force, or at the time it was the U.S. Air Force, really was looking at launching a lot of NSSL payloads on board and doing vertical integration alongside that to make the mobile service tower, which was going to be a thing at 39A at one point in time. There was renders, there was a whole thing that SpaceX was going to do. They were going to build it, put it up. And that just never happened. They got more performance out of Falcon 9 to be able to do payloads to GTO and still be able to recover the booster. So the need for something as powerful as Falcon Heavy became just less. They just didn't need as something as powerful as that vehicle. So a lot of the missions dried up. It's still doing NSSL missions, nothing vertically integrated, because part of that vertical integration was going to be the extended fairing as well. I mean, we've seen one. So there was supposed to be a whole lineup of NSSL missions that were going to use the extended fairing and the MST, and there was going to be a bunch of Falcon Heavy launches, and then it just didn't happen. So I think just things dried up, and they went to other launches, like they either went on Falcon 9 or went to Vulcan, which, well, we know where Vulcan's at right now, but yeah, it's kind of dried up.
Yep, I'm being very careful because I'm the person in the background going, T-minus 20 minutes coming up. 3 minutes, a T-minus 20-minute event. But D, I wonder within those 3 minutes, because we got a reply from Matthew the Rocket Nerd saying, D-Wise, this is my first rocket launch. and I was just given this camera, so I don't really know the settings and lenses I have, but it's a Nikon like professional camera. Does that help?
Okay, so since you said first rocket launch, I'm gonna say something, and you might not love to hear it, but put down the camera. If you have a tripod, set it there. If you have an intervalometer mode or anything like that, like set it to take pictures, however it's going to take pictures, but make sure that you're not watching this launch through your camera. Watch it with your own eyes, enjoy it, and I would say, yeah, try to get some shots of it lifting. Probably you'll have some water in the foreground there. You can get some cool sort of reflection stuff, maybe, and enjoy this launch, please. I always try to give this advice for first time launch viewers because it is so easy to miss the moment by staring at your camera the entire time. So at least for this one, I'm going to say do your best to just enjoy it. Set something up, set a shot up ahead of time that you can, even if you're pressing the shutter button while you're looking at the rocket, but your camera's locked down on a tripod, I would say try that rather than trying to capture this launch to the best. And I know you might not love to hear that, but really, enjoy your first launch. Let it be a memorable experience that you don't remember staring at your camera or whatever settings. Like, do not stress about that. Just enjoy this one. And of course, feel free to reach out to me directly. Any more specific advice, always happy to provide advice for shooting these things, but just make sure you have a good time here.
I think that's solid advice. That really is. It's a bit like people are going to seeing this, in my case, heavy metal, this band for the first time, and all you see are people with their iPhones in the air. I'm thinking, nah, don't film the whole concert on your iPhone, looking through your iPhone lens. You're there. You witness it. You're there live. So that's the cool thing. Ryan, we're gonna come up any second to the T-minus 20-minute event. It might be, as I slowly talk, to give it a chance for us to visually see it, be a good idea to describe why we see a T-minus 20 event. What's it all about, Ryan?
So for those who have watched Starship or even other rocket launches, you always see a lot of events go on, especially before or during loading. A lot of that, and specifically this one, is to chill down the transporter erector systems before loading the second stage of Falcon 9. And specifically the liquid oxygen system. So basically, when that vent really activates, it is really cold oxygen gas that's coming out. And over the course of the next 3 minutes and 42 seconds or so, that gas will turn more and more into a liquid until it basically turns into a liquid. And then once stage 2 LOX load begins, the T event shuts off, and they stop bypassing the to the QD, and then they run the LOX to the QD and fill the stage up. Once the stage is filled, they will shut the valve off to the stage. They'll reopen the vent so they can purge the TE out before launch. So it's basically the same thing as the tower vent for Starship, which at this rate, it looks like the tower vent's going away, but either way, it's the same as the tower vent for Starship.
Well, hang on a minute. The tower vent is going away. We're going to lose the tower.
Yeah, we can. I can either go into that or we can wait to go into that. But yeah.
No, we can go into that right now because I'm intrigued.
Okay. It looks like SpaceX is rerouting the locked bleed. So the LOX gas, or should I say the oxygen gas that they use for chill down, as well as the LOX that they use to chill down, they're going to reroute it back to the tank farm. So there's a chance that the tower vent will not activate until just before launch when they go to purge the system. We won't know until they do a wet dress for sure if that's what they're doing, but that's the expectation with some of the new stuff they're adding. So it is.
You can't. No, I don't like that. They can't take away our. They took away our port vent, right? So we lost that.
Whole vent's still there.
Well, not the same, though, is it?
Well, it is. It's literally the same thing. It's the methane reclaim vent. It's
Visually.
nitrogen gas for them and their methane reclaim system is what it is.
Okay, fair enough. It is kind of fun though, because we can sort of like little digression into that. We're looking at Slick 40. We had our flyover on Friday. If you're an L2 member, for example, all the photographs from Max and Julia are in there. And I think Dee's got some little video clips that may come in handy as well, which I'll all put, because everything goes in L2. Basically, L2 is like a fire hose attached to your face, and you get everything. So that's the default. All members get different parts, especially like Red Team, for example. They'll get some. They've got some already. They'll get some, even some more. But the flyover captured the latest progression of SpaceX pad expansion at the Space Coast. Not just 39A, which we're expecting to have its first Starship, hopefully, I say, as I think the camera view has frozen. Yes, I'm sure they'll probably work on that, but let's see what goes on with that. But yeah, Jerry goes, ugh. So I think so, maybe. Don't worry about that, they'll come back. We've got 37 as well. The tower is starting to rise at 37. How long until we see a launch of a Starship from 37, Ryan?
37's a big question mark because we kind of understand the timeline of how long it takes to build the actual mount and the server structure, and it looks like that main T event is shutting off, which means that stage 2 locked load start. Basically, it takes about 20 months to build a Starship pad, 20 to 24 months to build the new type of pad. It might take pad 1 a little bit quicker because they're doing a lot of prefabrication before installing a lot of stuff, but we'll have to pay attention to timelines as it goes. But the biggest holdup for Slick 37 is going to be getting all of the propellant storage tanks. To get all the LOX, LN2, and methane storage tanks is going to take a while. Like they don't even have them all for 39A. There is still like 6 tanks missing from the tank farm at 39A. Not to mention they're going to be still missing some from Starbase too. They're still waiting on those, and then they got to wait on the stuff for 37. So in order to even get a launch out of 37A is what the first pad's going to be, because they're actually keeping the old names, thank God. It's going to take a while to get at least a stack and a half. So 1.5 stacks worth of propellant in order to do it. So they'll have to do. It's just going to take a while to get all the tanks. That's probably going to be the big holdup. They could be ready to go in 2 years. It could take longer. I don't really know. It depends on how quickly they get the tanks in.
Very cool. So we are now at T-minus 14 minutes to launch. Everything's proceeding well as far as we can see. They've gone through a T-minus 20-minute event. The weather looks really kind of like good for at least watching the rocket. I know there's quite a lot of cloud there. Should we go back and just check in on the weather? D, there's no obvious constraints that you can... Oh, that's a nice wide view. Look at that. That actually looks really pretty, to be fair, D.
Yeah, the clouds are thinning a bit, and it was clouds as the primary concern, but a very low percent concern with that 15% probability of violation. I hope that these clouds continue to clear, but those don't seem like a major obstacle for a launch today. And nothing else has come up, nothing as far as rain or anything like that would preclude SpaceX from a launch. So, of course, we will have to keep our eyes on the launch pad in just under 14 minutes. We should hopefully see this liftoff, and we should see one more rocket in the sky today.
I don't know why DJ Mod is asking me to do this, but I'm going to do it anyway. I assume you're an Aussie, but you're going, hey, NSF, can you give us the herbiest? I don't even know that. Good day, mate. So, good day, mate. Good day, mate. That's not a knife. That's a knife. I can't do the accent. I can just do lots of Paul Hogan, Crocodile Dundee references. There we go. Very good. Speaking of which, where are you all from? Let's do that. I've gone mad with power now. I've gone mad with power. do put in chat where you're watching this rocket launch from, so your local locality, into chat, and we'll see what the majority of people are. I've seen a lot of Australians in already. Slovenia, Japan, New Jersey, that's not a country, but I'll let you off. Perth, Australia, Milky Way, Germany, London, Sydney, Sunshine Coast, Australia, Hamburg, Germany, Detroit, Netherlands, South Africa, Mississippi. Oh, it's going too fast now. Sweden, Nevada, Chester, Lancaster, UK. I'm waiting for someone from Leeds. No, don't do it. Temple, Georgia, Tasmania, Cape Canaveral, Florida. Roberta is at Cape Canaveral, Florida. That's very good. Very jealous of you. Colorado, Australia. NSF social media headquarters, says Elisar. New Zealand, Netherlands. There's always a lot of Dutch. Always a lot of Dutch. That's been something back during the shuttle days. There's always a lot of Dutch. It's like a big thing. So really cool. Scotland, Maidenhead. Quite a few Scotlands in. There we go. Sweden again. Yep. Kerbin. No, I don't think you are. KSC, the Faroes. It's always cool seeing the actual spread of people watching from all around the world. It really is something fascinating. So whenever I'm hosting the stream, I do go mad with power, and I do ask that question often. But it's really cool. It's even bonkers on a Starship stream. We did that a few times during the Flight 12 launch day coverage, where there was literally like 6-figure audience. And if you want to see a chat room scroll on the right hand side of a YouTube stream at mega speeds, that's the point in time you're going to see it, because it's crazy. And that really becomes quite stunning, because you do see people literally all around the world. Tends to be, I mean, the timing of this one's quite hard, but it always does tend to be a case of mainly Americans, but the spread is always there. So that is really, really cool. Right, we are getting closer to this business end of this launch. We're at T-minus 11 minutes. I do see people in chat mentioning, in fact, Matthew, the Rocket Nerd, has replied. It's not a question, it's a reply. I will definitely make sure I watch this with my own eyes. But after that, I need to get pictures. As the 14-year-old, now almost 15, I need a good portfolio for when I turn 16. Oh, bless, that's really cool. And also, what an age to be getting into rockets, isn't it? That's the point in time where you really are getting into the business end of seeing so many launches. To be at that age, it must be crazy.
Oh, yeah, that has to be crazy, and great to get some experience here with a Falcon 9 ahead of Starship on the Space Coast, because that will be a sight to behold, seeing booster returns and then eventually ship returns. Like, I cannot wait to see it fly. Just find your story that you want to tell with your shot for this first one. Whether it's something in the foreground, you can't really control the background too much without just totally changing your location, but try to find a story to tell with your shots. Find something to make yourself stand out. That is super, super exciting.
Very cool. Yeah, and of course, what we do is we're doing original content here. So that's what something you were doing in the future is original content, and that's not easy. A lot of YouTube channels these days on all different subject matters basically just talk over somebody else's, like the official stream or whatever. We do our own content. This is our own camera views. This is where we got our own people out there, and the way you can support us is not just like in chat. Well, you can do it for free by liking streams. That really helps and what have you. But for the financial part of things, one way I always say is the best way of supporting us is actually in our store, because our store allows you to get something in return in the post. I've always liked that. Never get me wrong. Super chats and memberships and what have you are really cool. And it's like a digital product that way, because you're getting something digital in return. Something physical in return, that's bonkers. And I remember the first time I got some merch from the NSF store. Yes, I know I started NSF. Through the post, arriving at my place. And I was like, oh, this is cool. And this is a good example of things we've got in our store where you can get cool stuff in the post. And of course, via the laws of commerce, we do make a profit on these things, a small profit, but a profit all the same. And that helps us provide the things we do in content, such as live streams and everything else we do on the site and on our channels. So that is one way of saying, oh, I want some cool stuff. And I know that via my purchase, the cool stuff will arrive in the post, but I'll also be helping NSF in the process as well. That's the way the shop works. So that's why we always mention it now and again. And for example, one time on a stream. So that is, I've got that. I've literally got that. I It's been had many a, how can I phrase this carefully? It's had me sat down on it many a time. There we go. Got round it. And it has lasted forever. It really has. I must admit, it really is good material, that, because it's lasted forever and it's very unique. Nobody else in York by the Riveroos on a hot sunny day has got this, because I have. So that is really cool. Very good. Right. So, Ryan, we're now T-minus 7 minutes launch coming up on that. What are the big milestones that we're looking forward to at this end of the countdown?
The big milestones left with it's about 7 minutes left. So at T-minus 7 minutes, Falcon 9 will begin its engine chill prior to launch. And then in the course of those times, between T-minus 7 minutes and T-minus 1 minute, they're gonna top off. They're gonna finish fueling the vehicle, do some final checks on it, all that fun jazz. And at T-minus 1 minute, command the flight computer to begin final pre-launch checks. At the same time, the propellant tank pressurization will go to flight pressures, so they will stop prop load and they will pressurize the tanks with pre-pressed gases, nitrogen and oxygen, and then pressurize the tanks so they are a good enough pressure so you don't starve the engines on liftoff and of course on ascent. At T-minus 45 seconds, the launch director will verify go for liftoff. At T-minus 3 seconds, engine controller will command the Merlin engines to ignite. They'll ignite at lower throttle, they'll throttle up, and at T-minus 0, the clamps release and Merlin engines will go full throttle and it'll lift off.
Very cool. I did mention that our flyover was conducted. There we go. Couldn't find a word there. And all for photography, hundreds of photography photographs. There we go. My brain's not working now. Yes, there we go. Are in L2. And someone has joined L2. I will say something because it's a good example. When you do join L2, make sure you do actually sign up with a username that works on the forum, because that's how we give you access. Don't just put a random name in there on the forum username part, because that won't give you access. But I will reply to every single email that doesn't do that, and I make sure that you get a membership, a username, so I can actually upgrade them. But that's a little tip there. If you join L2, just sign up to the forum in advance so you've got a username, and that's what you pass on to us when you do purchase an L2 membership, and I can quickly upgrade you. It's me personally upgrading you, by the way. It's manually done. I personally upgrade you into L2, so you've got me as a backup if you get anything wrong. Cool. Right, we are coming up to the point where I was rushing there, because we're coming up to the point now where we hand off the likes of Dee and Jerry to go and do camera stuff. So thank you, Dee, for everything you do. We'll see you other side of the launch, won't we?
Absolutely. It's been a pleasure thus far, and I'll see y'all on the other side. I've got to say, the sun is out now. It's getting brighter. The clouds are continuing to clear. This is a beautiful morning. I'm really looking forward to this one.
Very good. Sharbert's Todd Bott has very carefully phrased this to allow for a happy birthday message. Oh, look, SpaceX is lighting a candle on my 43rd birthday today. Lols. So everyone in chat, say happy birthday to Shazbert. I'm going to put it into the screen so people can see the actual username. There we go. But that is very cool. That's a clever way of making sure you know. Oh, there we go. There is the L2 thing as well, because when you purchase something from the store during one of our streams, it comes up into our panel so we can actually display it. It's from Anonymous. Thank you for your support, Anonymous. Please do make sure you've got... I'll reply to you, so don't worry. We'll sort you out to make sure I can upgrade you into L2, but you'll be looked after. I've got the email, so I've got everything I need to reply to you and make sure that you do get the access required there. Ryan Jones, let's go back to this, shall we, Ryan? Talking about the trajectory. So we were talking about if we could see over Austria during a second stage flight, but that's obviously it's daylight and what have you. But the actual departure from the Slick 40 pad is going to be in what direction, Ryan?
It'll go up, out, and up to the northeast. They usually go up pretty quickly, and then they'll start their gravity turn. Which means they'll start their gravity turn and then turn trajectory towards the northeast, gaining altitude and distance as they go up. And yeah, hopefully we want it to go up. We don't want it to pull a rocket. Was it Rocket 3? At this rate?
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't want it to Tokyo drift. So, which is okay. As much as we bash that, it is still one of the funniest and coolest rocket moments ever, and that is an amazing shot with the sun right out on Falcon 9 as it is nearly fully fueled for flight.
Stage 1, our box load complete.
Stage 1 RP load complete.
You timed that well, Ryan. That was amazing.
I heard it.
Yeah. The funny thing is, you will sometimes hear us talk over SpaceX's call-outs. It's not on purpose. It's because it's just the timing of it. We don't get like a Quindar tone saying beep, ready for us to hear it. So we will try and avoid talking over SpaceX during this business end because we are now 2 minutes to launch. Any quick milestones at T-minus 2 minutes, Ryan?
No, next milestone will be T-minus 1 minute, and that is when the flight computer takes control and pressurization of the tanks happens, and then 15 seconds after that, flight director verifies go for launch. So,
and we will be very quiet during the launch itself. You'll go, why are you not talking? It's because if we were talking, we'd be talking over rocket noises, and I think you're only here for rocket noises, aren't you all? Lock load complete.
Yep, this is the point. Everything off.
Yep, this is the point where we do start really kind of pausing between our comments because you don't hear us rambling on. You're here for a rocket launch. So you'll hear SpaceX soon do a few talkings, including the launch director saying go for launch. There's the things you want to hear, not us talking. So we'll be quiet until after we get into through the first stage flight.
Ground gas closeouts.
Ground closeouts.
Falcon 9 is in startup.
Launch director, go for launch.
There we go. Go for launch. T-minus 30 seconds. Enjoy the launch, everybody. We'll see you to the other side during the first stage flight.
T-minus 30 seconds.
There we go. Right, so we've gone through the point where the rumble is out the way, so we're not talking over the rumble. I always make sure I don't want to do that because that is more interesting than me talking for us that. But that all went very well, didn't it, Ryan? We're coming up on the staging point soon.
Yep, we're getting there. Staging point is T plus 2 minutes 29 seconds. Miko will be T plus 2 minutes 26 seconds. So we're getting pretty close here.
And we're also expecting the boost to return to. There's only one drone ship left, isn't there, Ryan?
Yep. ASOG. That'd be where it's returning to.
It's kind of cool though, but the ship that will be transporting basically starships
Miko.
from. Oh, there's Miko. Waiting for second stage ignition. There it is. Now we're going to see some kind of jellyfish.
Or at least with it being this early, we should see a good reflection off of the plume. Yeah, there you go. There's the plume of the second stage. Nice reflection off of it.
That's great tracking because this is tough, especially at daylight. You can see the expansion now. And my eyesight might not be the best as it in the world, but I can definitely see the thrusters firing, which is pretty amazing from that altitude. Oh, alien space worms.
Space worms. I'm not going to say it's aliens, but it's aliens.
Yeah, definitely. We do remember people seeing the ice build up on the nozzle of the second stage, and people are thinking, what's some else doing in space? It's ice.
It's the shadow.
Yep.
Yeah?
Mm.
Babylon 5 reference.
Well done. You got one in. So now we're watching two figures, one on the left, one on the right. The one on the left is the booster. As you can see there, the altitude and the speed. It's now preparing for its return back down for its landing in the ocean on the drone ship. Whereas the second stage on the right-hand side, you can see the velocity really picking up now over 10,000 kilometers an hour. Altitude is going up as well, 134 kilometers. So you can see the two different variances there, which is always fascinating to see. And I do like to focus myself mainly on the booster because that is a thing that's returning, will be returning before, probably at the same time as Seeker. So we'll see how that transpires. But this is always very cool views, split screen views, booster and second stage, booster on the left, second stage on the right.
Yeah, usually landing and Seeker are pretty close to one another. Seeker happens like right after landing does.
Yep, and then we'll get a nominal orbit insertion because that's what they're aiming for. That's what the second stage is doing. It's pushing towards a point in space that it's targeting. And that's when they know, because once the stage shuts down, they can calculate that. And with it being a SpaceX launch and being most launches recently, you'll hear nominal orbit insertion, which is what we like to hear. This view here, Ryan, on the left-hand side, these poles, people keep asking what these poles and wires are about.
Poles and wires on the left.
Yeah, basically it's the rods, and it's obviously the stage separation indicators because of the wires that connect the second stage and the first stage.
Oh yeah, there's a couple of connection points between the stages, and then the pole you see in the middle is the pusher that literally goes up against the MVAC injection plate, the injector plate on the MVAC engine, and to separate the two stages, unlike others where some might use explosive bolts, some use hot staging like Starship or like Soyuz, the R7 does. Falcon 9 uses a pusher. So it's a pneumatic pusher that literally pushes the second stage away. And there is the supersonic retropropulsion burn, as EJ likes to call it.
It is very cool. It's 131, and it does look like from the ground view, we do get very fortunate, especially in your light launches. Sometimes we get a tracking of that burn, the entry burn, And it does look like, and it has been described as, by SpaceX, as a surfboard off fire. People go, what do you mean surfboard off fire? It does look like it's riding a surfboard with the 3 engines. It really is cool just seeing it coming back down. It's an amazing part of the process of bringing a booster back down, because this is something that, especially led by Lars Blackmore at SpaceX, they've designed, and it works now every single time. We will expect to lose a boost now and again, so when they do lose one, don't panic, but so far so good. They've been having a very good record of success. As we get ready for the landing burn that's coming up any second, they do tend to lose the camera for a second here, but it comes back. There we go. We're diving through the clouds. Look at this. You'll see the grid fins starting to work soon as well. This is a great view, especially with the clouds the way they are. I never get bored of this. Never. We've seen hundreds of them now, and I just never get bored of them.
Can't wait to see this regularly for Super Heavy.
Oh,
or New Glenn regularly once they get back to flying.
Yeah.
And then Terran Stoke, Nova. Like, we've seen it so much with Falcon 9. Neutron. I can't wait to see other boosters do this. I want to see it from all the other boosters re-entering. It's gonna look it's gonna look awesome.
Landing burn.
Punching through the clouds. Where's the drone ship? There it is. A little play on Ryan.
There's the grid fin refinements. Always cool to see.
There she is.
Touchdown. See, it wasn't a commentator's curse. I saw that in chat. David said, oh no, commentator's curse.
Pico should be any second here. That's Seco, and that is nominal orbit insertion. Those numbers look about right.
Again, it seems it's a horrible word, and people in the space industry absolutely hate this word, but it feels routine. And that's because of the amount of launches and successes they're having. And it really is routine, but there is nothing routine about spaceflight. And that is why people in the space industry don't like to be mentioned as routine, because that tends to be where something will not be routine anymore and they have a failure. I want to go back to this now, because there's no commentator curse involved anyway, but now it's actually landed. We have mentioned it before that SpaceX always expected to lose some, especially drone ship landings, which are harder apparently than land landings. So the LZ1, LZ2 thing, which obviously is different now because of the handover of LZ1, LZ2. But Ryan, can you help me explain to people that this run of success is kind of unusual, that SpaceX will have calculated the loss of some returning boosters by now?
The fact that they've gotten like multiple streaks of a couple of hundred in a row it's impressive. Now that this launch is out of the way, I will say I am waiting for the day, and it's not even a landing failure. I'm waiting for the day that a Falcon 9 blows up on a set. It'll be like it'll be a high flight booster on a Starlink mission is my guess. Maybe in an inspection they missed something. That's my guess is what will happen. They're still learning these vehicles. They're still learning how to do reusability. Yes, they've flown it 600 times, but just wait till they fly Starship as much as they want to fly Starship. That is true reusability. Once you're flying a vehicle 4 to 6 times a day, like you do with aircraft, you really, really learn where to look and how to look at things and what kind of inspection program you need to do. I'm waiting for the day they do have a failure on a set. I expect it to be, again, I expect it to be a Starlink on a high flight booster because they missed a crack in a weld or something like that. That's my expectation at some point. I don't know when, but I'm waiting for that notification of Falcon 9 has failed. It blew up on a set. I'm just waiting.
Speaking of high flight and Starlink, the next up launch is a new record for B1067 on its, I believe, 36th or 37th launch. So it's a new record tomorrow. Or not tomorrow, but the next launch.
By the way,
Yeah,
welcome back, Jerry.
It's 1067-36 is what it is. That is July 9th, it looks like, for Starlink Group 10-42 is the mission. 30-day turnaround as of almost 31-day turnaround as of right now. Yeah. The more and more flights you get, the more and more it's going to be like, okay, when are they going to run into a big problem? I'm waiting for it to happen because it has been highly unusual with the run of success they've had. Truly. They've had second stage failures, but that's the whole other thing. First stage failures, there has not a single Falcon 9 first stage has failed to do its job.
Yeah, there was
Failed
mention
on
in
its
chat about
primary
second
mission.
stages. Yeah, remind me, right? I can't think back the last time I had an issue with the second stage.
Vandenberg.
It's about a year.
Yeah.
It's within the last year. They had an issue where I think they had an issue where they couldn't deorbit it correctly.
Yes.
And then before that, they had like nearly back-to-back second stage issues too. It was like 2 years ago in the summer. I think it was 24. When they had issues with second stages, but that's it. And not only that, the CRS failure is the second stage. AMO 6 failure was the second stage. They have not had a first stage Falcon 9 first stage fail to lose the entire rocket. I mean, they've had landing issues, but that's not. I don't really count that because that's still the secondary mission of it. The first stage has never failed on its primary mission. It's either succeeded or been taken out by the second stage.
I mean, the context here right now, people probably maybe just tuning in, wondering why NSF that covers these launches is talking about failures. You know, it's a context thing, and especially for what is a hardcore audience such as ours, to help spread to friends who then get the resulting headlines when they do lose one of, oh no, disaster for SpaceX, they've lost a rocket. It's not. It's something where they've had so much success, it just seems surreal that they did lose one. But they will eventually lose one. That's just rockets in general. And it is important that the context is provided, because it wouldn't be a disaster. It would be a setback and not helpful, but it's something that we do expect in the future to happen, isn't it, Ryan?
You know what's funny, too, is that out of all of SpaceX's rockets, I mean, I'm not going to count Falcon 1 because they were just learning how to do rockets back then. That's a whole other thing. But between Starship and Falcon 9, only one first stage booster has failed to do its job, and that was Booster 7. Only one. Booster 9 delivered just 25 to Seco, and 25 blew up on its own. Only one booster has failed to do its job. That's a pretty dang good track record for booster teams. Most of their problems have been with second stages, which is kind of hilarious to think about. But when you compare between the two programs, like all their problems have been with the second stage. It's kind of funny.
I've got a nice little segue here. I don't know if Dee can talk yet, but I'm gonna take this first from Barney Rubble, GBR, which is obviously British. I'm on holiday in Florida from Doncaster, UK. Donny Rovers. I had to see this launch in person. Awesome first launch for me. Thanks for the coverage as well. Well, first of all, Barney, congratulations for doing that. But I did also see Dee in the background mentioning bugs, which is something as a UK person we do not get a problem with, really. We get houseflies and maybe wasps and maybe the occasional bee. We don't get bitey insects. I'm just waiting for Dee to reply if Dee can talk, because I was hearing the bugs were quite bad for this one. Oh no, but maybe Jerry can join in as well though. Jerry, as a local person there filming this, I'm trying to pitch this because I've not experienced it. Are these literally insects literally attacking you and biting you?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. There's two main bugs that are definitely out today. One is the mosquitoes. Those were really bad before sunrise, and especially they're really kind of extrapolated by the lack of any sort of wind here, right? These kind of bugs, the mosquitoes, and the other ones are the no-see-ums. they really can't fly very well in anything above 1 or 2 mile an hour winds. But when there's absolutely no wind out here at the press site like there is this morning, they just swarm and they sit here and they swarm around and they fly around. And like, yeah, I'm looking at my camera. They're crawling over the camera. They're crawling all over the monitor, and they're just buzzing around in the air in front of my camera. And yeah, I'm covered up, but they're on my hands. I could feel them biting my hands as I was tracking, and I can't really swat them away or the track goes all wonky. But there's definitely a lot of nasty little bugs out here this morning. The no-see-ums give you a nice little pinch. The mosquitoes definitely will give you a big wart if you let those bite, and they'll want to suck out your blood, and they're gross. I hate all these bugs.
Hasn't somebody in America yet invented a spray, a repellent spray, that stops this from happening? Because I've seen it in movies, people going to convenience stores and buying insect spray, but have they become immune to it or something?
I mean, to an extent, some of them don't care. And then also some of the more popular stuff you say, like DEET, is very, very like corrosive to plastics. So if you touch your camera, if you have DEET on your fingers, it'll melt the exterior of any of your camera, any of your equipment or anything. It's super, super gross stuff that'll like literally break your equipment if you touch it while you have it on your fingers. So it's something we try to also stay away from, just for that fact that you don't want to DEET the outside of a camera and then ruin the housing, and then it's all wonky and squished and it doesn't close right anymore, and it's a mess. But yeah, it only goes so far as well. It's better, I'm in a long sleeve and pants here. Only my face and my hands are exposed, and that's where they like to fly anyways. So it gets very old very quickly.
I am flooded. We're not flooded. There's 3 people in chat from the UK mentioning we do have bitey bugs. Mosquitoes, gnats, midges, and only city dwellers would not think we didn't. Well, I'm a city dweller. I'm from York, but we've got 2 rivers here, and I do go by the river. And the worst I've ever experienced is just annoying flies in the air, not bitey ones. So maybe we're just lucky in York, but apparently London has them. Borough Boy, I assume Middlesbrough. So maybe there is some problems in the UK with the bitey insects, but I'm yet to experience it. I'm not saying I'm looking forward to experiencing it. I will say that much. But I think the trade-off would be seeing rocket launches. At the same time, I think I'd endure it just for the sake of seeing rocket launches. Ryan, any experience of bitey bugs? It's become a bitey bug thing now. Any bitey bugs where you are? Ryan Webber, bitey bugs. Explain.
Yeah, Minnesota, the land of 10,000 lakes.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. If you're in the right location and there's no wind out, kind of where even in the city here, even the Twin Cities, it can get bad. Yeah, it's not great. I hate mosquitoes. They can I hope they all get destroyed. Like, dear Lord.
Wow.
They're bad.
There we go. So someone's going to make a killing when they can
exist.
work out a bugger spray that works, but it doesn't affect camera systems as well. There we go. Someone's going to make a lot of money. Oh, I tell you what, though. It's that happy part of the stream where we look forward to signing off with some great views. We have replays coming, for example. Let's see the replays of this launch. Here we go. It's not just one camera we show. We have all the cameras filming, and the producer Sugnar would pick the selection during the launch. But for the replays, we get to see all the angles in their full view. There we go. Look at this. Look at the reflection on that. That's great reflection.
I was going to say that's really pretty with the reflection in the water there. It's very calm. That's the other thing. Back to the bitey bugs. This big, flat, calm patch of water right here in the turn basin at KSC. It's breeding ground for those things.
Oh, that's a great view from the press site. That's sunrise. I mean, the sunrise there is just beautiful. That's something. I mean, we get at Starbase. The sunrise at Starbase is stunning as well. Maybe it's because I'm working late till night. I don't see many sunrises because they're probably sleeping. But they do seem to be stunning over there in Florida and Texas. And the clouds are especially helping. Here we go, another press site view. With a NASA meatball in view. That always gives you the clue. Oh yeah, clear the ticker. That's me. Hang on 1 second. Is it me? I don't know if it's me or not. I'm going to delete that one anyway. See what happens. I should because I'm hosting, mention on the right hand side. It's Daz's favourite view, an empty launch site. I don't remember Daz ever saying that was his favourite view. I don't know where that came from, but it's a thing. Oh, is that the transport ship, Ryan, in Port Canaveral?
That is that is You'll Thank Me Later. The Starship Transport barge is kind of sitting there. It doesn't really have anything to do right now.
I can say that on the 3rd, when the port was doing their fireworks show from basically right next door to it, it was a little bit, in my opinion, precariously close to a lot of firework embers, and that's a lot of canvas that, that has a potential if one of those landed on it to go really bad. But it survived through the port's fireworks show there.
Yep, that's very cool. And all these camera views, amazing that we got all these camera views. Again, it's all thanks to your support. And I do mention that on purpose because we're not owned by some big company. We own ourselves. We're not owned by some big publishing house like most places are. I'm not saying most, but a lot of places are. To make it financially viable, which is why we do it. So we basically have via our support, provide all these camera views, which is not easy. But thankfully, our community is amazing at supporting us, allowing us to do this. So I'm not talking too much because I'm too busy watching the views. I'm watching the replays myself. We're all fans of rockets at the same time. It's not just people put on to talk about it. We literally are rocket fans, and that's why we started this, and that's why we get to see this amazing views from our own cameras. And that it's hard to lose appreciation for that because it really is something that. Oh, the noise. Oh, through the clouds. Vapor trail. I will say, Ryan, when he goes through the clouds, sometimes it looks like it's not got the velocity right. It's just the way the clouds and the optical illusion of it. It sometimes looks like, oh, it's not going as fast as it should be. It's just the clouds and interfering with the view, and it's actually kind of cool.
It's super interesting to track through some of that too. When the clouds are moving in an opposite direction, it almost looks like it's like translating like sideways, and like an opposite like direction of which it's actually flying. It's really trippy sometimes going through these moving clouds. But I will say about the audio on this one that it was very. You compare it to something like, I guess the last thing was an Atlas, right? The Atlas V is a very, very punchy noise. As soon as it lifts off, it's like, bam, it just like, it roars immediately. This one was a very, even for Falcon 9, very gradual ramp up on the noise. It started very, very faintly, and I thought it was going to be quite a quiet one, but it ramped up to be pretty loud. But it was an interesting start that it didn't make a ton of noise at the start at liftoff, which was interesting.
Very cool. Yeah, people asking about the Starship barge, transport barge. It is what they will be using, like Pegasus. They use Pegasus for SLS transports and other things as well. As we go back to the iconic view of the VAB. I heard the swoosh, and I'm wondering what we're going to transition to. That's Mobile Launcher 2, by the way. Oh, dear. Rest in peace, Mobile Launcher 2, on the right-hand side. But the transport barge...
Crane left it. Yeah.
Yeah, they're giving up on it, and it's a shame, really. But the transport barge, just to answer the question in chat, is what they'll be using to transport boosting ships from Starbase to KSC, because Roberts Road is not yet ready to build starships. How long until Roberts Road is ready to build starships indigenous to Florida, Ryan?
I have no idea because they haven't even started a star factory yet. So, at least a couple of years, if not several years. So,
and that's why they need the barge. There we go. So we come full circle. I think that's coming as close to... Yes, we are. There we go. Look at that. Sukno has predicted I was going to ask the question already, but that has been the Starlink 1050 launch from Slick 40. Again, another fun SpaceX Falcon 9 launch. I'm glad you've all been around to cover it, but I'll introduce you. We had it in the field, starting with D. Thank you, D, for your amazing skills in the field.
Of course, it is an absolute pleasure to be out here and share these missions with everyone. And it ended up being a beautiful launch this morning. So stay tuned for that slow-mo replay at the end here.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Also, thank you to Jerry. Thank you, Jerry.
Of course, it's always a pleasure to be out here. It's a beautiful morning here, even if there is some bugs that are still around, still bugging me, still everywhere. But it's nice to see this beautiful launch go on time, go perfectly, and yeah, good to be out here.
We need Bitey Bug merch in the store. I have to speak to Lindsay. Thank you also to Ryan. Thank you, Ryan.
Nice one, Chris. Pleasure as always, Chris.
And thank you to Sucknor for producing in the background. Always thank the producer. I'm notorious for forgetting. That's why I make a point of saying always thank the producer. But until next launch, we have lots coming up, including the record launch of the Falcon 9 booster. That's a flight coming up soon as well. But until then, thanks for joining us and goodbye.
And here we go.
There's the W. Here's ignition.
Roger, roll with Planet. Doubling up.
Did it just do a Kerbal?
Back to the moon and beyond.
Put that in the big bag, Jingle.
Back at home, we all have a lot of work to do, but from here, that sure looks like a perfect flow.
Propulsion continues to be normal.
We did have an observation. 343 unfolds to go.
It's orange.
Water towers fly!
Bingo! Right in the center.
Where's Jacqueline? There it is!
That was surreal.
That's not what we want to see.
No!
Oh my god.
Yikes, you bet. We don't need any more of these.